Hey everybody, so my name is LaPrecious and welcome to my channel. Let's talk with LaPrecious, and I'm sorry for being 12 minutes late. I know I was supposed to do a live about, I know I was supposed to do a live on my review of the first episode, and I fell asleep and I didn't mean to. So since I'm awake now, since my friend had called me, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the review of the first episode of Joseline's Cabaret. So this time, I know like in the past, I've done like reviews on movies and TV shows, and my views weren't quite on point. But this time, I'm gonna make sure they were on point. So the thing that I like about Joseline's Cabaret is that it's on point, it's clear, it's precise, it's raw, and it's authentic. I can honestly say from watching this episode, this TV show and this episode was a whole lot better than the real Black China. The real Black China and that whole concept that Black China had going on, this show, it takes the cake. The episodes are good. I can already tell season one is going to be really good. And there's just a lot about the show that I can tell that I'm going to like. So, and another thing about this show is that if you're not into seeing people naked or booties clapping and all that kind of stuff, then this is not the show for you. Because as soon as you get into the strip club scene, you see titties, you see booty, you see nipples, you see vagina, all of that. You see it all. You do. You see it all. And so that's pretty much, what Jocelyn's Cabaret is all about. Now, in the beginning, when Jocelyn's Cabaret first came out, and before we saw all the previews and whatnot, Jocelyn's Cabaret, it was just seen as her being over a strip club. But the but as soon as we get into the show, she starts working with a group of girls that work at a strip club called G5 Live, and it's a strip club that's inside of this place in Miami. And so in the beginning, they do this scene where there's in the locker room. A lot of you guys saw the scene where Jocelyn was in the locker room with the other girls and they were talking, and one of the girls tried to check Jocelyn by her house getting evicted, and Jocelyn slams her head in the floor and all fighting and scrambling and whatnot. And then, it kind of pauses. And y'all know how Players Club started when Lisa Ray, or who we know as Diamond, when they got to that scene in the beginning and it kind of stopped, and she was like, well, let me tell you a little something how I all got started at the Players Club. And this was kind of like that, because it got started inside of the locker room where they was about to fight, then it paused and then it just went back to Jocelyn, and Jocelyn starts talking about how she became a stripper, how long she stripped. Because Jocelyn, we all know Jocelyn is Puerto Rican. That's why she calls herself the Puerto Rican princess. And she, since coming from Puerto Rico, because Jocelyn pretty much had a really rough life and a rough upbringing. She was born in Puerto Rico, but her dad died when she was like real young, and I know she was raped when she was either a preteen or a teenager. And she started stripping or prostituting herself at least 13, at 13, 14, or 15 years old. And then she somehow came over here and she started stripping and whatnot. And that's how she became a stripper and started stripping the way that she did. And so she was talking about, how she started stripping, how she stripped in a lot of the strip clubs in Miami, and how she's well versed and well known in strip clubs, how she's a good mother to the girls that she's going to be helping, how she could better and how she can help them and teach them some new things and whatnot, and also how she can include them in her cabaret. So, and throughout the whole episode, you hear snippets of Jocelyn's music. We all know that since Jocelyn has been on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, her music has been good, bad, and ugly. And unfortunately, they played a lot of her songs in this episode that we did not like, knowing that we would like to remember that we didn't like as soon as they started playing them. In my opinion, Jocelyn, people will pick the way that she talks and the way that she carries herself and how she enunciates her words. You can tell that English, of course, is not Jocelyn's first language. Y'all don't have to correct me about the language barrier or whatever. Jocelyn is Puerto Rican, and yes, Puerto Ricans do speak English and Spanish. But since Puerto Rico is a Hispanic island, they're going to speak Spanish, and their first language is going to be Spanish. And you could tell that Jocelyn tries her best to enunciate and pronounce her words correctly in English so that she can come off as understandable so people can get what she's saying. And that's why when she says certain words, it sounds funny. Because I noticed in this episode that this is the first time I've ever seen Jocelyn really try her best to speak properly and to not mess up and to try to sound like she's making sense. And so that's what I pretty much got from this. But Jocelyn Hernandez's music is not the best. Personally, I think she sounds better when she sings and raps in Spanish. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't even like when she speaks in English. I prefer to speak in Spanish over English. I mean, it is what it is, as I mentioned before, with her language barrier, but it's just sometimes some people sound better when they speak English and when they perform and rap and sing in English. But I just feel like Jocelyn, by her being the Puerto Rican princess that she is, she sounds a lot better in Spanish, whether she's speaking or singing. And that's just my opinion. Okay, so now we're moving along to her and her fiance. She has a fiance named Ballistic Beats. By his name, you could tell that he's a music producer, and they're sitting on this yacht, and she's like, "Oh, thank you, baby, for me being on this yacht, and and us sitting here talking and everything like that, and hey, beautiful magic." And so they pretty much, sit there and enjoy his cousin's company. And she starts talking about Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So she pretty much tells Ballistic Beach, I had to get away from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta because I was surrounded by toxic people. I had to get away from Stevie J, and it just wasn't good enough for me. And Mona Scott decided to make me executive producer so I could have a lot of the rights and whatnot to the show. And ever since I left, that the ratings for Love and Hip Hop Atlanta have gone down. And he was like, "Yeah, was finna say that the ratings have gone down a little bit because of you." I believe that Jocelyn. Now, don't get me wrong, Jocelyn Hernandez did make her name and her fame from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. When Love and Hip Hop Atlanta first came out, Jocelyn was a big name and a big star on there. But I didn't like the way she kept saying, Love and Hip Hop Atlanta was a toxic place for me. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta just wasn't good for me. Stevie J probably still be trying to control me, even if he is married and whatnot. The way that Stevie J's relationship was with Jocelyn, we all know Jocelyn was Stevie J's mistress when he was with. Let me try to remember her name. Let's see, what is her name? Okay, we're not gonna worry about her name too much, but we all know, to those who've been watching Love and Hip Hop since the beginning, Jocelyn and CBJ did not have the stereotypical or the normal relationship story. I mean, Jocelyn was a mistress. She used to call herself a monkey hole when she was on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. She used to always get up and Stevie J's girlfriend's face, saying, "I'll take your man, I'll screw your man, I'll screw him again, he's my man now," and all that type of stuff. So Jocelyn, she caused a lot of that drama on herself when she was on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And then I remember when they got real rah around that time, they did the reunion and they got into it with, what's that rapper's name who they used to always talk about, had the big neck. and whatnot. Gosh, these people's names and stuff is just leaving my mind, and I can't really think. But y'all know, and they got into a real bad that season when they did the reunion because everybody was saying that they was high, that they was on drugs, they was under the influence of stuff, and that's when the rapper that was on Benzino, that's his name, and that's when Benzino and his wife at the time got fired. Like I remember there was like news all over the internet. They got fired. And then Joseline and Stevie J around that time, they were trying to make a name for themselves and they was telling everybody they was married. Come to find out they was never legally married. They just said that just because and as a publicity stunt. And I remember at the time they was supposed to have their own TV show, but that never materialized into anything. And Jocelyn did get pregnant by Stevie J one time, but she aborted it. But this time, when she got pregnant by Stevie J, she decided to keep it. And as we all know, that didn't work out too well. Her and Stevie J are not back together. Stevie J is actually married to Faith Evans, and that was like a microwave relationship within itself. And Jocelyn now she's getting back on her grind. And instead of her just having this TV show on Zeus, she got Marriage Boot Camp, she got Jocelyn's Cabaret, and Love and Hip Hop Miami. So even though Jocelyn said that Love and Hip Hop Atlanta was very toxic for her, at least she's on Love and Hip Hop Miami, whereas in the city that she lives and is familiar with. And since watching Love and Hip Hop Miami, it really gave her like a Love and Hip Hop Miami is giving her a platform and a place for her to be, just like it is for Trina. Because y'all know how on these Love and Hip Hop sections, whether it's Hollywood, Atlanta, New York, or Miami, the ones with the biggest name, they get their own little time slot in the show where everybody else get their time, but the main focus seems to be on them. So at least she gets to get that on Love and Hip Hop Miami. But I can't really blame Jocelyn for a hustle because she is making money this time around and a lot better than she was before. Because before, it was just her and Stevie J, but now she got three shows because she has marriage boot camp on WeTV. Then she has Jocelyn's Cabaret on Zeus. Then Love and Hip Hop Miami. And then I did forget something. And she was on Married to Medicine. I don't know why, but she was doing a few scenes in that. So at least she's getting to the money this year. So moving along from that, her and her fiance Ballistic Beats. I was talking about Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, and her becoming the executive producer, and how she felt like Stevie would still be around trying to control her and whatnot. I don't think Stevie J in this sense would have been trying to control Jocelyn. I mean, Jocelyn was a crazed mistress that wanted to be the wife and that wanted to be his world. And I felt like Jocelyn was mad and upset because when he was with Girl, and she was like, I took your man and I got your man and all that kind of stuff. She probably thought Stevie J was gonna end up wiping her up and getting married to her and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like when Jocelyn saw that that wasn't gonna happen and Stevie J was gonna do her like he did his previous woman he was with that she cheated on him with. Well, not cheated on him with, but cheated on him for and broke their relationship up. That's why she got mad and is no longer with Stevie J, because she realized, even though that she cheated with Stevie J while he was in a relationship with Girl, he still treated her the way that he treated the other women he was with before they got together. So I feel like Jocelyn and Stevie J, I'm like, Jocelyn, you really can't get mad, but get mad at yourself because you was just, cheating with him and everything. And you really got what you deserve, honestly. Because you can't expect to be cheating with somebody's man and all up in their face saying, I got your man and I'm a monkey hole and all that kind of stuff. And they turn around and did you the same way and left you with a baby. Stevie J has a lot of kids. Stevie J, I believe, has over 10 children. And he has very strong genes because a lot of his kids look just like him. Because I'm not going to call him no rat face because a lot of people say, he got a rat face and all that kind of stuff because he used to do that look with his face and his teeth, like early on in Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. But a lot of his kids look just like him. He got sons that's like in their late teens, early 20s, same face, nose, mouth, everything. Now Bonnie Bella, she don't really look that much like CBJ. I mean, she got the cute face and everything like that, but Bonnie Bella got her own look. So to me, she don't look like neither one of her parents. But moving along from that, and then she starts talking about the girls that's going to be a part of her cabaret that work at the G5 strip club. Now, we all know, and to those of you who don't know a lot about strip culture world or whatever, the strip club world is a part of the sex industry, hands down. Yeah, they're stripping, yeah, they get naked for money or whatever, but according to the sex industry, the strip club world is a part of the sex industry. And I mean, it makes sense because when you go in there, it's a lot of stuff that happens in strip clubs. You know, some people think, oh, they just taking their clothes off for money, they just stripping. You got girls in there having sex for money. You got girls in there having sex for drugs. You got girls in there prostituting themselves on the floor discreetly because we all know in a lot of states, except for a few parts in Nevada, prostitution is illegal. And so you got a whole lot of stuff going on in the sex industry in the strip clubs that goes on. And Jocelyn was saying how she wants to help these girls become better than what they are. She knows that they don't want to be strippers forever, that they want a better life, but she knows that a lot of these girls are wrapped up in prostitution, which a lot of them were. And while she was there, her and Ballistic Beats that was playing around with Captain Danny about taking pictures and everything. Then she started talking to this girl named Daisy. Now I like to call Daisy the beauty pageant queen, because she just has that real like boss, boss B beauty pageant queen look to herself. I got the long clean hair, I got the little nose, that, look like I got a little money, and I got the bronzer and the makeup and the body with the boobs and the butt and everything. Like she said, that wasn't her in the scene where she talks like money and looks like money, but you could tell she got a lot going for herself money wise by how she carry herself and how she looks. So we meet up with Daisy. Daisy is not just a stripper, but she's also a prostitute because we all know prostitution is illegal. And Jocelyn and her, you could tell they was trying to word their words so they wouldn't flat out say that they're prostitutes, that they're prostituting, and that she has a pimp. But we pretty much got the picture that she has a pimp, and that's the one she just had a baby for. And he's the one that, pretty much gave her that nice apartment, that nice, apartment complex in Miami. And he has other women, he pretty much takes care of and stuff while they go out and do the work for him and bring back their money. Now, Jocelyn, went to her apartment and was talking to her, and she was saying, so what are you doing with yourself? How did you get this? How did you get that? Now, Beauty Pageant is 23 years old. Based on how her body looks or her face, she looks a little older than that. First, I thought she may be 25, 26, but that's just how women look. When you done been, excuse me, ran through, and I hate to put it like that, but it's just what it is. When you've been ran through like that, then you talk about having kids on top of that, and then you stripping and prostituting stuff too. Now I got the hiccups. It adds age onto you. And I feel like that's what Daisy is experiencing. Because we all, well, not all, but a lot of us have seen, the Players Club movie. And it was kind of funny because a lot of these scenes in Jocelyn's Cabaret for the first episode, there was Players Club like. Cause you know how y'all had Ronnie and the dark skinned lady, I can't remember her character's name. She wasn't even all that popular in the movie. Cause Ronnie was like the head be in charge. She ran up through the locker room. She was the one telling the girls what to do. She was the one collecting the money from the strippers. And if any stripper wanted any money or go any party or to make any extra money, they had to go through her. Like, and that's how Daisy was acting with the girls. And so once Jocelyn and her got done talking when they was in her apartment, She pretty much, explained how a lot of girls not only strip but they're prostitutes. And she talked about how they walk the track. Walking the track, she really didn't give no like good explanation of it. She's like, any girl knows that when you walk the track, you go to a certain location and you exchange money for sexual activity. Walking the track is pretty much street walking. When prostitutes walk the track, those are the ones you see like in New York and Las Vegas or wherever these big cities are where prostitution is big. A lot of times the pimps will, they have their cars and they have their little stake, not stakeouts, but they'll have their turfs where their prostitutes will stand on the corners or will stand on the streets or will stand in a set location and they'll walk the track, which is pretty much the line where, they'll be dressed up in the hair, the nails, and the makeup and in the outfits and stuff, and they'll walk the track back and forth, luring men or whomever will come by for their services. And so that's pretty much what that is. So, prostitute. So moving along from that scene, we get into, and y'all, I had to take notes because I wanted to have this information accurate for y'all. So here we go. Now we get into Disco Rick. Disco Rick, I want to say, is like the trainer slash teacher at the G5 strip club. Jocelyn was pretty much saying how when she first started off as a stripper, he taught her a lot of her moves and the routine that she had to go through. Because if you love Jocelyn Hernandez's history in stripping, her name was not the Puerto Rican princess up until she got to Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, but her name was Michelle, was it Chanelica Davenport? So yeah, that was her strip club name at the time. And you can go online and look up Jocelyn Hernandez, Chanelica, and you'll see like old pictures of her as a stripper where she was like, skinny and tan, where she had like the long red hair. And you can also see her mug shot where she did get arrested a few times. And I think her name is listed as Chanelica Davenport on the mugshot pictures. So, they talk about that being her name, how Disco Rick gave her the Puerto Rican princess nickname that she has. And she was talking about, how he was the one that pretty much helped her become what she is today. And he was saying, well, the strip club's not what it used to be. These girls are really like being mentored and they give you a lot of rah rah and cuss you out. And Jocelyn was like, well, with me, it's gonna be different. I could tell that Jocelyn has this come to Jesus mentality about helping these girls, make their money and, strip and whatnot. And then once they're done making their money, they could probably go to school, set up a business, get on TV, pretty much like she did. They got her away from stripping. But I'm going to be honest, in today's world, and it's not even just with the strip club or even with everyday life. Young folks do not like being mentored like they used to be. And this is something that, elders have an issue with. Old school rappers, old school strippers, anybody who's old school, done been there and done that, they're considered like the OGs or like the head honchos or the elders or whatever genre or industry that they're trying to do and teach people in. Young folks do not like being mentored anymore. They don't like being under people's tutelage anymore. They don't like being novices anymore because a lot of us realize that as kids and even back then, when you was under somebody, you didn't get no respect. You couldn't talk, couldn't ask no questions. You couldn't branch out and do what you wanted to do. You couldn't say this, you couldn't say that. Because if you did, it would be out of line with what your elders or what your forefathers taught. And you always had to, listen to your elders, respect them, put them first, and come up behind them by learning everything that they did, but forgetting the things that you want to do and that you want to learn while you're learning with them. And that's why in today's world, people don't really like being mentored and you don't really see a lot of young folks respecting people that came before them because they want to be the ones to put out their own style and to do their own thing and not really do something that somebody else has done already. So that's pretty much, what I got from that. And I feel like Jocelyn just really needs, just to understand that. So moving along from her talking to Disco Rick, we get into the other two girls, and these were the two girls that we see, crying and talking to Jocelyn about when it comes to beauty pageant girl, and her other friend who was like her sidekick, who we soon find out name is Chastity. And the two girls that we meet is called Miss Ja Dreams. And Miss Ja Dreams, I like to call her Sweetie Pie because she has a real cute, pretty face. You know, her body is just like real simple and petite. And she has like pretty hairstyles to go along with it, you know, a few tattoos. And then we have her friend who's called Lucky Hustler, who's like the fun girl, who's, you know, she's sweet and she's more of like a go getter and she has more of a backbone than Ja Dreams does. And her body to me is more fit for a stripper because she has, you know, like the boobs and the nice tone look in the butt and everything. And plus, another thing, when y'all watch this episode, if y'all are not used to seeing strippers being nude, booty cheeks, and all that kind of stuff, y'all may not be able to handle this show because it is graphic. When they show them cameras in that locker room scene, you saw titties, nipples, you didn't see vaginas that much, but you did see booty cheeks and butt crack and lingerie, all that type of stuff. So yes, this is graphic, it's raw, it's uncut, and you're gonna see a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, so we pretty much get to meet those two girls, and it seems like Sweetie Pie and Fun Girl, they feel like they get bullied by Chastity and Beauty Pageant. And based on the previews that they've shown ever since the premiere of this show has come out, they really do be bullying them because I mean we see it because as soon as Jocelyn came to Ja Dreams and Lucky Hustler, as soon as she mentioned Chastity and the beauty pageant, they said nope. They said we are not down with them. They like to say little slick stuff all the time. They think they're better than us. They think they always can talk to us any kind of way, and we don't like them. And Jocelyn was like, "Oh, you know, y'all should play nice. Oh, y'all should see what they're about, and this, that, and the third." And they're like, "Oh, I don't know about that, but we already know they don't like us and we don't like them. So, you know, we need to just keep it moving." And so, moving along from learning about Miss Ja Dreams and Lucky Hustler, we pretty much get down to the locker room scene. And with the locker room scene, this is where a whole bunch of stuff pops off. And this is where we see a lot of that action that we've been seeing in the previews they've been dropping leading up to the premiere of this first episode. So when we get into the locker room, and this is pretty much a revert back. Y'all know how when they give y'all a first glimpse of a TV show, they'll give you like snippets of like the flashing scenes of everything that's coming up in the season, and then it's like at the end of one episode it reverts back to what was in the scene before the show got started so it can all curtail and make sense. That's what this situation is. So we get down to the last season of the first episode, and it pretty much ends up being the girls, you know, taking off their clothes and pretty much getting ready for the last shift at the strip club, and all of them start talking and everything. So Jocelyn pretty much was coming in saying, "Well, I really want to help y'all girls. I really want to help y'all get into this cabaret thing." And based off of what Jocelyn says is a cabaret, because a lot of them seem like they was against it, except for the OG rapper whose name is Sapphire. Now, Sapphire, y'all saw how she was talking in that scene where, you know, I don't like it when men touch me when I'm stripping and when I'm dancing. You know, a dude will get his hand turned down if he try to touch me and whatever. And there have been times where I done been shot at for telling the dude no, for touching me when I'm in a strip club. We get to this scene. So Jocelyn pretty much comes in and say, "Well, I really want to help y'all girls out. I really see a lot of potential in y'all, and I would like to know if y'all want to be a part of the cabaret." Now it seems like Ja Dreams and Lucky Hustler are more of learning about what it's about. OG stripper Sapphire, she's like, you know, well, I'm looking for a way out. You know, I'm tired of doing this stripper thing, and maybe this will be a way I can level up and be something different. Jocelyn pretty much says, you know, I want us to be able to entice men in other ways than just sexual. You can use your sexuality and your flirtatiousness in another manner, but, you know, be less raunchy and ratchet. And I think she's more of a burlesque. And that's what I think this whole cabaret thing is. And I think she's trying to take them from being strippers to being burlesque dancers. Because burlesque dancers are strippers, but they're more of like showgirls, showtime, where they come out with the big feathers and the bustiers and the bras. and they, dance and they wear their hands and they make it more theatrical and make it more fun and less raunchy and just in your face with the booty shaking and gyrating and all that. And they just sensually, slowly and gradually just take their clothes off and stuff. And it's not so raunchy with the booty shaking and your legs being open up in the air, clamping it together and everything. And I think that's what Jocelyn was saying. And, and as soon as she said that right off the bat, Chastity, who's beauty pageant side chick, pretty much was like, so how much are we getting paid? How much money are we gonna be making? We're gonna be getting paid, we're gonna be making money. And I could tell that Sapphire, not Sapphire, but Chastity and the beauty pageant girl, let me remember beauty pageant girl's name, Daisy, they gonna be a real big problem for Jocelyn because I already done seen a lot of scenes in this show where even Jocelyn had to pop them in the head one or two good times for getting slick with her about making money and being the baddest and all that kind of stuff. And they was just pretty much popping off and talking over her and everything like that. And then once this scene was over, Jocelyn went about her way and she was pretty much saying, well, this is what I gave the girls, and this is what I want to give them. So, long story short, this is where we get into the scene that we saw in the preview that Jocelyn had dropped about the OG stripper named Sapphire saying, well, if a dude touch me, I'm going to do this to him or whatever. So, pretty much the way that conversation went was Sapphire was pretty much explaining and to Daisy and Chastity that when it comes to being an Atlanta stripper and a Miami stripper, it is completely different. And I've heard this. I've heard the strip clubs in New York, Atlanta, Las Vegas, California. I know California's a state compared to a city when I mentioned, but y'all know what I mean. And Miami, there are very different strip club scenes. Now, back in the day, you had the King of Diamonds. King of Diamonds, that was like the mansion of strip clubs in Miami. That's where people like Black China and Jessica Dime earned their fame and their high class names in that strip club. But unfortunately, King of Diamonds, the people that were money, they wasn't running or managing their money properly. And the King of Diamonds has now been foreclosed on and no longer exists. But back in the day, King of Diamonds, that was like the big time money machine for a whole lot of strippers in Miami. Now, a lot of strippers, they have to strip at different strip clubs just to make ends meet, in the scene since King of Diamonds no longer exists. Because King of Diamonds, that was like Star Search when it came to stripping in the strip club scene in Miami. And so, Sapphire was saying, in Atlanta, I could strip, I could dance, do a little 1-2 step and not worry about a dude, touching me, being disrespectful, and I could tell him to stop. But she's saying, like, coming out here to Miami, you could about get killed or stabbed just yeah, King of Diamonds don't exist anymore, like I said, because they found out the people weren't managing the money right and they ended up shutting them down. So the King of Diamonds was foreclosed on and it doesn't exist anymore. So it's gone. And yeah, you can still find videos of King of Diamonds and Black China. As I mentioned before, Black China became a household name and Jessica Dime Piece became a household name as well due to the King of Diamonds, as well as other strippers because that was a well-known strip club, and a lot of strippers made a lot of money when they was there. So going back to what I was saying about Sapphire and her talking about her experiences, and then she talked about one thing that was important that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to the strip club. And I've heard people like Cardi B and Lovely T talk about how racism plays a big part in stripping. And there's this black stripper on YouTube. Her name is Jasmine Black. She's done a lot of stripper videos about how to be a stripper, how to prepare to be one, stripper bags, and what you have to experience. And she said that certain colors of women experience harassment or inappropriate touching and groping a lot worse than other colors do. And it's true because I've heard, especially in southern versus northern strip clubs, they say in New York and anywhere else upstate, the white girls and the Hispanic girls, they run it. They say it's hard for a lot of black girls or a lot of dark skinned black girls to get a lot of shine, to get a lot of play, and to even get any type of attention or jobs whether it be a bottle girl, a bartender, or even a stripper in these clubs, because now everybody is just so fascinated with Hispanic or mixed or non-black girls that it's hard for black girls and dark-skinned black girls to get jobs at these strip clubs. Now moving to the South, in places like Atlanta, they tend to have a more appreciation for dark-skinned black girls and black women strippers. It's easier for them to get stripping jobs and bottle jobs and whatnot because that's the culture for that. And based off of what she said, Sapphire, she looked like the stereotypical hood ratchet ghetto stripper, thick, big old booty, tattoos from head to toe. And I really can't stand strippers that have all them tattoos. It's like they be tatted from the neck all the way down to their feet, even their butt, almost in their butthole, be covered in tattoos. I don't know why they like all that, because I'm like, if you're talking about getting out strip club game, and you got all these tattoos and stuff on you, it's gonna be real hard for people to take you seriously. Because I know, girls that get in that lifestyle and they build on stuff as time goes on. But it's like if you have a plan to get out of that and you don't plan on staying that long, you don't need to get all this work done, these tattoos and stuff, to the point where you leave the strip club and you're trying to get a job in the corporate world and you still look like a stripper. Because at least a lot of those girls like Lucky Hustler and Miss Ja Dreams, and even with Daisy and Chastity, they could put on, clothes and dark clothes and cover all that up to be taken seriously. But as for you, since your butt, has that stereotypical stripper booty look and all the tattoos and stuff, that's gonna be a lot harder for you to move out of. But she made a good point. And Daisy was pretty much saying, well, I never experienced, a dude touching me like that, and a dude touches me, he knows not to touch me or whatever. And she's like, you don't understand, because she said certain colors of women get worse treatment than that. And she was pretty much saying when she was in Atlanta, they respected her, but in Miami, it's like if men came in there touching her and all that kind of stuff, she tell them no, that she in fear of her life. Because, and I'm gonna just be real with y'all, and I've even heard Jasmine Black on her YouTube channel talk about this. And I'm gonna just be real. Whether you are in the sex industry or not, it is a known fact that as a black woman, when you have a curvaceous body or when you have any type of curve or voluptuousness about you, especially when you're dark skinned, it is very hard sometimes not to experience sexual harassment or sexual sexual enticing for men, whether it's warranted or unwarranted, or disrespectful, inappropriate behavior being done to you when you go out on dates, when you're on the dating scene, on dating apps, on dating sites, and even in the strip club world. Because Jasmine Black has even said she's experienced sometimes how a lot of non-black men will come into black strip clubs, and they usually, and a lot of times, dark-skinned black women especially are fetishized the most. And I feel like this has to do with slavery. And yeah, I hate to go there, and I know some of y'all may not like that, but this is what a lot of black women especially deal with, and that's what Sapphire is pretty much trying to say. And not and Days was pretty much saying, well, Ja Dreams, she's brown skinned and she don't go through that because that's how they treat us. Everybody knows in the black community that a lot of non-black people, they are very selective with how they treat certain black folks. A lot of times, and I've even experienced this. Sometimes when you brown skin, when you light skin or whatever, don't nobody touch you. You don't get sexually harassed. You don't get talked about. You don't get nothing. You get praise. You get more money. You get more attention or anything. And when you're dark skinned, you get messed over, screwed over, talked to like a dog. People want to touch you, poke you, fondle you, and all that kind of stuff inappropriately because during slavery, when it came to the dark skinned black women, that's how they would do. They would pick us apart. We had the nice titties and the butt and all that. That's the ones that they would play with and would pick apart and would rape and have babies by. And unfortunately, even though we live in this diversity age and whatnot, you still have to deal with stuff like that sometimes. And that's what Sapphire was trying to say. And I just can't stand when Hispanic women, black, non black women, or whatever try to tell black women how we get treated. And one thing I will say, even in the black community, like I said, where dark skinned black women are treated, sometimes it's flip flop. Sometimes the dark skinned black girls get treated better, and the brown skinned and light skinned black girls get treated worse by non black people. And I get so and then Daisy was trying to say, well, it's not like that. Well, that's what we did with. But Sapphire was like, it's different when you put up with stuff versus when you're sick of going through stuff. And I'm just so sick and tired of non-black folks trying to tell black people how to feel about discrimination and colorism and all that stuff. I'm like, y'all will never understand what that's true to life. I don't care if y'all like got curly hair, y'all got picked on for being light, mixed looking or whatever, because anybody who knows when it comes to you being mixed bicultural or in between cultures and you have this racially ambiguous look, long hair, wavy or whatever, you get treated better, point blank, period. And a lot of times when you're darker, yeah, sometimes darker skinned women and black women do get praised and loved and whatnot, but sometimes it's not always like that. And I feel like that's what Sapphire was really trying to say. But then again, Sapphire, you can't really get too mad about these men touching you and stuff because you are a stripper. Because, and I feel like this is why strippers have such a hard time getting into or adjusted to the strip club world because they have so much confidence and respect for themselves because of how they look and this money that they make. But at the same time, you're a stripper. You in a club before. And I mean, whether you like it or not, you're degrading yourself by taking your clothes off for men to pay you for money. So you can't really expect too much respect for that. I mean, yeah, you're making money and doing what you got to do, but you have to think the way other people think. Yeah, these men do come in there and be throwing bands of stuff on you, but they still not respecting you while you doing it. So I feel like Sapphire, she had a point in what she was saying, but I'm like, you got to understand the reality of it. You are a sex object at the end of the day. You come to this job, take your clothes off, to shake this, shake that, to make money. So you can't really expect too much respect. So moving along from that, then we get on to the fight and Daisy and Chastity picking on Miss Ja Dreams and Lucky Hustler, and it was just getting real bad. Now, one thing I will say about before I close with this review, one thing that I will say about what's the name, beauty pageant girl, I'm calling her beauty pageant girl, is that she automatically started bullying, Miss Ja Dreams and Lucky Hustler. I look like money, I smell like money, look at my body, look at your body, where do you get your clothes, where you get your hair, you this, you that, blah 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 blah. And Chastity, being the sidekick girl, blah blah blah. And then she has this pride of calling herself a bottom B. She called herself a bottom B when she was with Joseline because she was saying, well, I'm the one that, got the baby and I'm the one that does this for my, pimp and everything while he runs along with the other girls. I feel like she feels the need that she has this importance and whatnot amongst the girls for being a bottom B. But I mean, who want to be a bottom B? You don't keep none of your money. A man keeps you up. You got a baby by a dude that can't even publicly claim you because whether y'all like it or not, prostitution is illegal. So y'all living this illegal lifestyle. Y'all making all this money. He got you staying up in this expensive apartments with other girls living in this expensive apartment and so you ain't really got nothing because it's like if you jump bad with your pimp or with your baby daddy, you won't have nowhere to stay, you won't have nothing to do, and you'll be struggling just like these girls that you picking on. And Chastity, Jocelyn even said like, well, the streets talking about you and your man because your man's a scammer. She's like, no, my man is not a scammer, blah blah blah. And Jocelyn didn't tell who told her that, but she was like, you a scammer because she said that beauty pageant told me that your man was a scammer. And so it's like these girls, they're picking on Lucky Hustler and Miss Ja Dreams. And these girls hardly got a pot to piss in unless they, trick it for these men that claim to be taking care of them. So I feel like by her being a bottom B and trying to be Jocelyn's second hand in command, I'm like, Jocelyn does not need no second hand in command. You are a prostitute on her show in a strip club. And Jocelyn got more money and more notoriety and fame, probably more than what you'll ever have. Now, what I can say about these girls is that these girls don't really look all that bad. Now, Miss Ja Dreams, I like her. She's a sweetheart and she's pretty and she's cute. But I do feel like she needs to step her A game up when it comes to talking to Chastity and beauty pageant girls. Cause I'm like, whenever you in the strip club or whatever, or with eating world nowadays, that whole she bullied me, she picked on me, she got something slick to say. It's like you gotta come like this. You know what? You said this about me, da 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 da. I'm saying this about you, and I'm cutting it. Because a lot of times, instead of you giving people their time and shine and whatnot, arguing and poking and fighting with them, just leave them on red. Leave them on red, leave them on scene, and you go and do your business and make your money and go about your own way. And I feel like that's the route that her and Lucky Hustler need to take, because Chastity and Beauty Pageant Girl ain't got nothing on them. But I will say that Miss Jaw Dreams does need to step her A game up when it comes to her stripper look, because you have strippers who have different bodies. Everybody don't have that, big yellow booty and the big titties and all that when they strip it and this, that, and the third. You do have girls that's skinny, they got small boobs and a little bit of butt, and they're still able to make money. When I say this, I'm not being mean, but Miss Jaw Dreams, I do feel like she does need to tighten up on her body a little bit. If she were to just exercise and work out and whatnot and tone her body up, she would look good. But I also think that if she had her chest done as well as her butt done a little bit, then she would be able to make more money, pull in more clients. And I feel like if she would change up her stripper style a little bit too, she would look a lot better. I hate to say it, but sometimes when you in a competitive industry like that, especially with stripping, you do got to step your aim game up with your mouth and your attitude and with your look. And I feel like that's what really helped her, because this little girl, I'm sweet, I'm cute, I'm innocent, they picking on me and all this kind of stuff. That's just not gonna cut it with these girls. Cause they was picking on her and they started fist fighting, and Joseline had to come in and say, what's going on? Like, why are y'all acting like this and all this kind of stuff? So I pretty much feel like Jocelyn got her hands full when it comes to the show and when it comes to these girls, because these girls are not playing. And these girls are so rude and disrespectful that they end up even disrespecting and trying to tell her about her money. And one girl, Chastity, even said in one scene, but like, didn't you get evicted from your house and lose your house and stuff? And I think that's the scene we saw where Jocelyn took her head and was like, "Pound, you don't talk to me like that," and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. So Jocelyn, she got her hands full when it comes to this TV show, because it is a lot going on with this show. So, you guys, I apologize for being late. I got sleepy and fell asleep, and that's why I wasn't on at 10:30 like I wanted to be. But I hope you guys like this review. Don't forget to like, leave a comment in the comment section, and that's all for our review. But I am going to give you guys another 10, 15 minutes to ask me any questions before I end this stream and drop it on my channel. I think Jocelyn's Cabaret will do good because it has the action, it has the storyline, it has the authenticity. It pretty much has everything that Black China Show did. And I hate to do this, but I'm gonna have to compare this to the real Black China. Because the real Black China, everybody knows Black China started off as a stripper, then video vixen, then was a girlfriend and fiance of Tiger, then she had King by him, then she moved and had, Dream by Rob Kardashian. They was engaged and all that mess happened. And China, I guess she tried to come out clean and, be this new girl, but it just didn't work out. I feel like Black China, if she would just stop being so fake and phony and quit staging stuff all the time, it would be so much easier for people to take her seriously. And I feel like if she would have just been authentic on her show, that would have been a whole lot better. Because I felt like that real Black China was a hot tail mess. Everything was just too staged. And every time you turn around, stuff coming out before anybody is even seeing stuff on the show. So it was just a hot tail mess. But you could tell Joseline, she thoroughly planned this out. She thoroughly took her time. Everything is making sense. It's authentic. It's popping. It got the action and everything. And I think this would make good TV. But due to the girls being so naked and it being so graphic, with them being strippers and everything, that's why they couldn't put it on TV. But one thing I want to say about Black China is that she has been doing some videos with, I think it's called Life and Style. Let me pull it up. Yeah, Life and Style Weekly. She's done one called The Fridge Tour, What I Eat in a Day, Home Butt Workout with Dream Kardashian, and the best salad recipe. I like seeing China in that mommy home wife scene because she looks authentic and that she's like herself and it makes sense. And I just don't understand why Black China just can't be that because I just feel like Jocelyn Hernandez, she could pull off the stripper ratchet stuff. That's what we know her for. She started being that way. She's always gonna be that way, but you can tell she's learning from her mistakes, but she's still keeping it real. And I feel like that's why people are so welcoming and so excited to see Jocelyn come back on TV because she's, coming back saying, this is my time. I got my own show. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I feel like Jocelyn is gonna get more respect from her fans of Love and Hip Hop than Black China with doing this whole show. Because I just feel like Black China could just have so much more and be seen in such a better light if she would just quit scamming folks. And I just hate to put it like that, but that scamming and using people and you clicking and tweeting and deleting and throwing shade and all this kind of stuff is messing you up. And we all probably done seen that clip of Wildin' Out where they creamed her, where that girl was like, uh, yeah, and it's like a 2 minute clip. You could tell China was real hurt about that when they said that. And she was like, yeah, and she was like, your name's Black China, and she said you went and bagged the least popular Kardashian. Your body is plastic, but don't nobody want to smash, and your career is trash. And then China was like, but you still ain't got no butt. She said the A word, but I can't say it out loud. But she's like, but you still ain't got no butt. And you could tell on China's face, she said it as a comeback, but you could tell she was hurt. And I mean, Black China, and I get sick of seeing interviews. And I feel like China need to tell these folks to just cut it out when it comes to these questions. Every time we see China in an interview, it's about Rob and Tiger paying child support, being there for the kids, supporting the kids. And now they're saying that Rob is trying to take Dream Kardashian from China because they notice how Dream acts different when she's around them versus when she's around China. They say China, is an alcoholic and drug user. And this ain't the first time I heard this about China, and I really do believe it because there's a clip where she was out with Densea when they had that whole um white initials cream they was selling in Nigeria, and China looked the sounded high out of her mind. She was like, everybody, you guys should vote. Make sure that you vote. Don't touch me. This is my $5,000 purse. This is Versace. I mean, you could tell that she sniffed a good line of coke before she did that scene in that video. And I mean, she did. And it's sad to me how we do so many of these campaigns about drugs and alcohol and Juice World, previously dying from drugs. And a lot of these people in entertainment, they are walk crackheads because coke and weed and PCP and lean, all of this stuff is just seen as recreational. But I mean, yeah, that's how she was acting. And these people don't see how they're walking addicts. And China is one of them. I hate to say it, but she is. And okay, I'm gonna read your comment. Didn't she cry back after that? Or was there someone else? Yeah, I mean, she responded to the girl, but you could tell she was sad. But to close this whole thing out about Black China, like Black China, you just need to be yourself. We know your story. We know what you do for money and everything. But just be honest and quit trying to run game on people. Because it's like you keep trying to run this Joanne the scammer run, you're going to end up losing more than just the friends that you've lost already. You just going to lose your career, and ain't nobody going to want to have nothing to do with you no more. Because I feel like this ratchet stuff with your mama, this fight with the Kardashians, and this scamming people, you putting out scenes of the show, making it come off as something that is not. And as soon as we watch the show, it's something altogether different or nothing at all. With Joseline's Cabaret, everything we seen in the previews and in the clips is just like the episode that I saw tonight. So I'm like, China, why can't you just do that? But China, you want to scam people, make your money, whatever. But I just feel like Black China is gonna be her own demise. Because that scamming folks and that fooling people for money or whatever, it's getting old. And a lot of us are really getting tired of it. Because that's why I didn't even cover the last episode. Because I'm sick of seeing it myself. Like you 30 some years old with two kids as toddlers, and you still scamming people and using people for money like you 20 some years old. I'm like, you done got all this money and you claim to be rich with this big old mansion and about your 4 or 5 cars you got that you claim to be paying the lease on, and that they're not renting, and that Rob and Tiger ain't paying you no child support. Where if you got money like that, then why you keep scamming folks for this? Because I'm like, if you feel the need to do this Fashion Nova and this clickbait stuff and scamming people, that loan money you claim to have is not going to be long for long. That's all I can say. So I hope you all like this video. Don't forget to like, leave a comment in the comment section, and have a good night.